IT is ready. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first 2026 meeting of the Housing and Consumer Protection Subcommittee of House General Laws. The clerk will open the roll. Members will note their presence so we can ascertain that we have a quorum. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. All right, before we get started, a couple of notes about how we run things here on the Housing and Consumer Protection Subcommittee. This is a very busy subcommittee. Today's docket is not particularly heavy, but I have a hard deadline coming up around 4, so I'd love to try and get through the whole docket by then. But frequently, it's not an issue of my schedule. It's just that we have so many bills that we need to hear. We need to move efficiently. So to that end, I would say to the advocates that are here to speak on behalf of your bill, it's helpful, and I will give you some clues as to how your bill is going. If your bill is doing well and it looks like it's on a glide path out of here, I would suggest that you keep your remarks very brief. I have never seen a bill go down because the proponents didn't say enough. I have had bills go down because proponents said too much, and some phrase caught somebody's ear and it caused their bill to go into a spiral. So generally speaking, my advice is don't talk past the sale. If you've come down, you've prepared a long set of remarks, and the person in front of you says exactly what you wanted to say, I know that can be very frustrating. My suggestion would be you say, I associate myself with the comments of the previous speaker. The next bill that comes up, you push them out of line and get in there first so you get to say your piece before they do, right? Or take turns, figure that out. So like I said, we try to move quickly and efficiently, but we do want to make sure that everybody has time to be heard. Bills that are going well, again, less is often more. Sometimes on particularly busy days, I may just ask for folks to do a show of hands or stand up to indicate their position on the bill so we can get a sense of where folks are. All right, so with that, we're going to start with Delegate Elizabeth Bennett Parker. She has the lowest number, and she's also now on the committee. This is a bill that we've seen before. But Delegate Parker, why don't you tell us about HB 4?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is House Bill 4, which has previously passed the General Assembly and is part of Governor Spanberger's affordability agenda. House Bill 4 will help us address our affordable housing crisis and keep our existing affordable housing inventory. It is a permissive bill for localities that addresses multifamily rental buildings that have received state or federal assistance to create affordable units, for example, through the Low Income Housing Tax Credit or LIHTC program. When those affordability restrictions are expiring, which is after 30 years for LIHTC, and the owner intends to sell the building, the bill would allow localities to establish a right of first refusal if and only if they can match a third-party offer and have previously adopted an ordinance under the section. The owner receives the same purchase price and the housing remains affordable. If the locality cannot provide a matching offer, the owner sells to a third party. These are buildings that have already received public assistance from taxpayers, so this is a simple way to make sure that our state and federal investments in affordable housing continue to benefit Virginians. Preservation also saves money going forward. It costs 25 to 40% more to develop a unit of affordable rental housing through new construction than through the acquisition and rehabilitation of existing housing units. Preservation also prevents tenant displacement and its negative consequences on people and communities. More than 17,000 units of LIHTC-supported affordable housing across Virginia are set to expire within the next few years. We have an affordable housing crisis with these units, and we cannot afford to lose them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Bennett Parker. Does anybody have any questions for the bill's patron from the subcommittee? Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to look at it and figure out what a bona fide offer is, and how would you know that the offer would be not put in by a friend that would cause the price to be higher than it probably should be?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, to the delegate, I would say, trying to make sure I understood his question, something about a bona fide offer.
Yeah, explain a bona fide offer to me. I mean, if I want to sell after 30 years, the way I understand this, I had affordable housing and I want to put it on the market. And I know that the government has first right of refusal. So I know I have pretty much a guaranteed buyer. How is the government going to be sure that I'm not going to try to run the price up with an offer coming from someone outside and then forcing the government to pay more?
So, Mr. Chair, to the delegate, first I would say that the language requires the locality to have adopted this ordinance and to have identified their qualified designee before they would know of any other third-party offer. And I will turn that over to our expert to explain and make sure I'm addressing the question more fully.
If you'd identify yourself and...
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance. I'm not fully sure I understand your question, but I think to address it, I think your question is, what if a third-party buyer is specifically asking a lot higher, and then that means that then the government has to pay a lot more for that? If that happens and that bona fide agreement, that is a signed purchase agreement made in good faith, that they offered that much money, the locality is not at all required to exercise the right of first refusal. So if it's much higher, it would be tougher for them to exercise it, and then the third party would be, as they intended, would be the ones that purchased. Does that make sense?
Follow-up question. No, it does. I'm just still concerned about the bona fide offer. And is there anything in this to keep the bona fide offer from offering twice as much, the government doesn't do it, and then he withdraws his offer, trying to drive the price up from the government? If you understand, I'm thinking.
Oh,
So,
I
Mr. Clay,
see.
I think, maybe Delegates, if I can help a little bit. So we do have a definition on line 21, right, which is a signed purchase agreement made in good faith. I think what Delegate Bloxham might be concerned about is some bad faith offers, but how would we detect one? So for instance, I own this property. I know that I'd like for it, frankly, to stay as affordable housing with the locality. So I have one of my partners go set up an LLC, and they go in and they say, they offer, $3 million. I'm just making up a number, right? I think the market value is probably $2,600,000, but I got a LLC. They put in an offer for $3 million, thinking that the city of Alexandria probably would be willing to match that. I think that's the scenario. And so the question is, what do we do when people are engaged in criminal, fraudulent acts to drive up the price? And perhaps the answer is that that's at their risk. And if we catch somebody doing that, we investigate and prosecute them. But do you understand the question better now?
I do. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Mr. Chair, you're right. I think that is something that it's a risk, but also because we've specifically said that it has to be a signed purchase agreement made in good faith, if there are stipulations in that purchase agreement that if you back out of it, there's penalties, that could be put in there. There's no requirement necessarily for what this purchase agreement has to be. It just has to be one that a third-party person has offered and that the owner has decided to accept. So I think just in general, regular laws about signing a purchase agreement and then backing out of it and what that would mean. And I guess if it's specifically for the purpose of driving up the cost, so then a locality would not exercise the right of first refusal, I think that's one of the risks here. That could be a part of it, that maybe we have to come back, but I don't think that that's going to be as common of an issue. Thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the subcommittee? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the bill? And again, if you all could, keeping in mind this is a bill that passed this House, that was mentioned in the State of the Commonwealth address and is really likely to pass, keep your comments sort of to the point. Go ahead. So identify your name, your organization, and probably just your position for or against would be great.
Again, Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance. I think it goes without saying we absolutely support this bill and are really grateful to the patron for her ongoing efforts to get this passed into law. So thank you.
Hi, Kelsey Calgarth, Progress Virginia Delegate. I heard your admonition, and I will simply say we support.
Thank you. Perfect testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'll briefly say I'm Fatima Kamara, Land Use and Transportation Manager at Virginia Conservation Network. We support the bill. I believe the Coalition for Smarter Growth also wanted to support the bill. Thanks. Oh, sorry. PCN's Legislative Committee supports the bill.
Thank you. Anyone else going once?
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Sheila Hurley-Hennessy with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We support the bill, as do all the members of the Allies for Housing Action AHA Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Christy Marrow with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. The Poverty Law Center supports the bill, and I'm also speaking on behalf of Housing Opportunities Made Equal, who also supports the bill.
Thank you. Also very efficient. If you can double up on groups, that's great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Delegate Bennett Parker, for the bill. I'm Larissa Zaire from Legal Aid Justice Center. We also support the bill, and I'm also here to speak on behalf of New Virginia Majority, who supports the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? Move quickly.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Bisma Ahmed with the Apartment and Office Building Association and Virginia Apartment Management Association. For the reasons we listed last year, we still unfortunately have to oppose. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Zach Lemaster with Northern Virginia Apartment Association, and I would associate our comments with the previous speaker.
I appreciate y'all's, again, brevity as well. And we have one person online wishing to speak in favor of the bill, and that is Dr. Andrea Wilson. Dr. Wilson, you are on. If we could have your camera turned on, that would be fantastic. There you go. Oh.
Hi, yes, I'm actually going to be speaking on HB 329.
Okay, we'll come back to you then. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Are there any further questions from the subcommittee? Committee operates by motion.
Move to report. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill report. The clerk will open the roll. Members will indicate their votes on the electronic voting device. All right, we're almost there. The clerk will close the roll. Bill reports on a vote of 7-3. Thank you, Delegate Bennett Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
One other bill.
You have another bill? Oh, you think to get to do two? All right, HB 95.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is House Bill 95, which will help hardworking Virginia families remain housed. Too often, tenants live paycheck to paycheck, and all it takes is one unexpected medical emergency or car repair to impact someone's ability to make a timely rent payment and go from having a stable home to facing eviction proceedings. This bill will offer certain tenants who owe no more than 1 month of rent a chance to pay their debt through a payment plan before they are taken to court for an eviction judgment. If a tenant were to miss a payment on their plan under this bill, or if they were to miss a subsequent rent payment, the landlord would still be able to move forward with an eviction judgment. Additionally, only one payment plan is allowed per lease term, so this cannot be a recurring situation. You may hear that payment plans don't work, but when payment plans have failed, they have failed because the amount owed by the tenant is insurmountable, often exceeding $5,000. This bill differs dramatically from the payment plans in place during the pandemic because it is limited in financial scope, and it, again, cannot be a recurring situation. In 2024, more than 1/3 of households evicted were evicted for less than 1 month's rent. An eviction judgment remains on a person's record indefinitely, even after it has been paid off, and can prevent that person from obtaining safe, secure housing for years after the judgment is entered. This bill will help hardworking Virginia's families and children experiencing a temporary hardship remain housed. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I'm going to have one question, and I'll throw it open to the rest of the subcommittee. I heard you say this a little bit, but I want to sort of be clear, because I've heard the same sort of thought, which is, this is just delaying the inevitable that folks get behind and they'll never catch up. So this is limited to one, essentially you miss one payment, you can get on a payment plan for that payment, and you can only do that once per lease term. Is that accurate?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any questions, other questions from members of the subcommittee? Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question about the payment plan, is that devised by the landlord? How did they come up with the payment plan that will save the tenant?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Delegate Bloxham. To the delegate, I would say that the payment plan is equal monthly installments over a period of the lesser of 6 months or the time remaining under the rental agreement. However, the tenant may repay the full balance due and owed at any time during that period without incurring a penalty.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, those wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you, Delegate Bennett Parker. My name is Larissa Zare from Legal Aid Justice Center. We support the bill. At Legal Aid Justice Center, we do eviction defense, so I represent tenants in eviction court, and we regularly see tenants in eviction cases where they owe 1 month or less in court. Tenants have to miss work to attend court, and the combined loss of wages plus court costs and attorney's fees compound dramatically on relatively small balances, making it much harder to catch up. This bill will prevent evictions, alleviate the pressure on courts, and allow tenants to catch up in a timely way. I'll also say that I do represent tenants who live in buildings where their landlords offer payment plans, which are often successful at allowing the tenants to catch up. So this just allows that opportunity to more individuals. Thank you. I'll also speak for New Virginia Majority supports the bill.
Thank you.
Sheila Hurley-Hennessy with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. As we represent a lot of faith communities who have members and service recipients who receive rental support, we support the bill. We also would like to speak in support of the bill on behalf of Housing Opportunities Made Equal and the Allies for Housing Action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelsey Calgary, Progress Virginia. I'd align myself with the comments of the previous speakers. We support.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Janae Craddock with the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we support this bill as well. And just want to note that we believe that this bill is in line with the goal to ensure that tenants have maintain affordability as well as stability.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Erin Corman with the Realtors, and we support the bill as well.
Thank you. All right. Those against? You guys can stay close to the front. I'm getting your steps in, so.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Zach LeMaster, again, on behalf of the Northern Virginia Apartment Association. I think we've dealt with this bill before in the last couple of years. I don't think industry is opposed to payment plans. I think we'd just like to be able to notify our tenants that there is a payment plan and then work with them to make sure that it's one that works for each individual property and not have it mandated about how it's structured. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Bisma Ahmed with the Apartment and Office Building Association and Virginia Apartment Management Association echo the comments before, and unfortunately we'll have to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any further questions from members of the subcommittee? Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill report. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. The bill reports by a vote of 7-3. Thank you, Delegate Bennett Parker.
Thank you.
All right. Delegate McClure, you were here first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have HB 329.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, HB 329 strengthens protections for tenants facing retaliation from their landlord. Tenants currently have the right to a safe and habitable home, the right to not have utilities shut off by their landlord, the right to privacy and respect, and the right to seek improvement of their living conditions free from retaliation from their landlord. But our laws do not adequately protect tenants from landlord retaliation when asserting those rights. Many Virginia families actually put up with subhuman living conditions and harassment from their landlord out of fear that they will lose their housing if they speak up. The current definition of retaliation in the Virginia Landlord and Tenant Act is limited in scope, and it leaves out common forms of retaliatory behavior such as harassment, coercion, and unequal enforcement of rules. Current law only prohibits threatening the tenant with eviction, terminating the lease, decreasing services, and increasing rent. It leaves out common forms of harmful behavior such as harassment. So HB 329 gives the code teeth by expanding the definition of retaliatory acts to include harassment and ensures tenants are protected when they assert their fair housing rights. So this adds much needed protections for tenants against some of the worst landlord behavior while also providing some important safeguards for landlords. So we worked really hard with all the stakeholders back in 2024 to continue, and we continue to have peace in the Valley on this legislation. This same bill passed in 2024 with bipartisan support but was vetoed by the previous governor. So Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, it's my hope that you would pass HB 329.
All right. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee for Delegate McClure? Delegate Bloxham.
Just a quick question. A harassment, is that defined in our code?
Mr. Chair, Delegate Bloxham, I don't have, I could defer to council on that. I don't have that definition in this particular bill, or I don't define harassment. So, Mr. Chair, if we could defer to council on that.
Ms. Benz, do you have an answer for that? I'm not sure I see the word harassment in the bill. I think you were just sort of using the word harassment to describe a suite of activities
Yes,
that we actually do describe in the bill.
yes,
So
which
we
would
don't- we don't
be,
call it- she's sort of lumping
lines-
that in as harassment. What we effectively do is say things like increasing the amount of fees, selectively decreasing services, bringing actions or threatening to bring actions for possession, terminating the rental agreement. So there are things, but I don't think the word harassment. is in
Mr.
here.
Chair, if I can,
Yep.
line 37 does include the word harassing.
Oh, it does. Oh, threatening, harassing, or coercing the tenant. I see. I think those are words that, given that context, to have a fairly plain meaning. But
Yes.
all right. Any other questions for members of the subcommittee? All right. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Hi, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Laura Dobbs with Housing Opportunities Made Equal. I want to thank the patron for bringing the bill and working so diligently with all the stakeholders to come together on language to make sure that we bring more balance to our system, ensuring that tenants can assert their rights without fear of retaliation, but also ensuring that landlords know what those guidelines are and when they're not stepping out of line and not acting retaliatory. I also want to mention that the Virginia Poverty Law Center supports this bill, as does the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. Thanks.
All right.
Mr. Chair, Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufacturing Modular Housing Association. I haven't talked to the delegate this year because we got it worked out last year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Erin Corman with the Realtors. Like the person before me said, this is compromise that we worked out last year, and we continue to support it.
Hello there, delegates. My name is Kalia Harris. I'm the executive director of the Virginia Student Power Network. We work with young people all over the state. As we educate them about their rights as tenants, it's really helpful to have legislation that can also protect them as they advocate for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Larissa Zaire with Legal Aid Justice Center. At Legal Aid Justice Center, we regularly hear from low-income tenants who are afraid to request repairs, for instance. We had a tenant previously call our offices afraid to complain that her heat was out because of a fear that her landlord would not renew her lease. Tenants should be able to ask for their landlord to fulfill their duties under the law without fear of retaliation. We support the bill. As a member of the Allies for Housing Action Coalition, we also are speaking today and speaking on behalf of New Virginia Majority in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bisma Ahmed with the Apartment and Office Building Association and Virginia Apartment Management. We also support the bill and thank the delegate for working with us.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Zach Lemaster with the Northern Virginia Apartment Association. And again, like everyone else said, I want to thank the delegate for working with all the stakeholders last year on this.
All right. She called it Peace in the Valley. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, seeing none.
You got one remote.
Oh, we have one remote for, I'm sorry. Dr. Wilson, this is your chance to talk on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Wilson, and I am here to express strong support of HB 329. I have lived through repeated retaliation with one landlord, in particular in Prince William County. And after asserting my rights as a tenant, I experienced repeated retaliatory actions. I filed human rights complaints, fair housing complaints, and spoke with multiple legislators. Despite doing everything that I was told to do, nothing was done to enforce the existing retaliatory laws that are already on the books. Virginia technically has had that, but in reality, they only work if the tenant has the money, the time, and capacity to take a landlord to court. The burden of enforcement falls almost entirely on the tenant, and that is not real protection. HB 329 is important, not just because it strengthens the law, but because it moves us toward accountability. We need clear, concrete enforcement mechanisms across the Commonwealth so tenants are not left to defend themselves alone against retaliation. No one should lose their housing for speaking up about unsafe or unfair conditions or for holding their landlord accountable. I respectfully urge the Virginia General Assembly to pass and enact HB 329 and ensure it's meaningfully enforced.
Thank you for your testimony. All right. I think that, and there's no one who's online to speak against it. So that's everybody. The committee operates by motion. It's been moved and seconded that the bill report. The clerk will open the roll. Members will cast their votes. The clerk will close the roll. Bill reports on a vote of 10-0. Thank you, Delegate McLaurin. Thank you for your hard work.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Delegate Askew, you've got a quick and easy one, I think. I hope I didn't jinx it.
He go next. Hey, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Mr. Chair, I have a substitute for this one. Move the committee. Well, I have a substitute for this.
So is there a motion on the substitute?
Move the substitute. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be adopted. As many as favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, the substitute is now before us. The substitute's available online for folks, so we don't kill trees by handing them out here on the General Laws Committee, so take a look at your device if you're looking for the updates. And can you briefly describe, when you describe the bill, if you could highlight some of the changes, that'd be fantastic.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and the substitute clearly just pretty much puts language back in the bill that passed the body last year. The original draft didn't have this part, which just adds a minimum of 2 hours of education of fair housing and appraisal bias. So this is in the posture that it was past the body last year.
Perfect. Thank you.
But HB 170, we've seen over across the past couple of years where racial bias has been commonplace in home appraisals. Particularly, there was a situation in Virginia Beach where this happened. We've seen that it has widened the racial wealth gap, reduced home equity limits, finance for repairs and other upkeep, which turns value from a sale, and it restricts the amount of equity families can tap into for investments like education and starting a business. With the appraisal industry largely governing itself and only 2% of appraisers identifying as Black homeowners of color, we have seen them to be vulnerable. This bill simply seeks to improve training of appraisers and breaks down appraisal biases by requiring education and fair housing laws, instruction that is provided or approved by fair housing experts as a means of obtaining and maintaining an appraisal license. We can address a key cause of bias in the housing market. This bill requires applicants for appraisal licensures to complete an anti-discrimination training, a course approved by the Fair Housing Board as part of their training to become an appraiser. This ensures that Virginia law aligns with the new appraiser qualification criteria that was created by the Appraisal Foundation and went into effect at the beginning of this year. I hope it's still the committee to pass this bill.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the subcommittee? You know what the bill does. We've seen this before. I know some of us are new, but it's pretty straightforward. That was a good explanation. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Hi, Chairman, members of the committee. Laura Dodds with Housing Opportunities Made Equal. We support the bill. A few years ago, former Delegate Coyner introduced a bill and it passed that added this fair housing training requirement for continuing education credits. This just closes the loop to ensure they get that fair housing training as they're applying for licensure. And the Virginia Poverty Law Center supports the bill as well. Thank you.
Erin Corman with the Realtors, and we support the bill.
Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association. We also support the bill. Thank you.
All right. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? All right. Anybody on the committee have any further questions for the patron?
Move to report. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill report with substitute. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. The bill reports by a vote of 10-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee.
All right. Anybody else have a bill? I guess we got to do Delegate Thomas. I know he enjoyed being on this committee. I wanted to experience as much of it as he possibly could before he has to go.
Couldn't get rid of me.
Mr.
Chairman, members of the subcommittee, before you is HB 356. A lot of housing bills coming through this subcommittee this year, trying to address what is probably the #1 crisis that affects every jurisdiction here in the Commonwealth. But in order to make the best decisions, we want to make sure we have the best data. So that's what today's bill is about. As I know the subcommittee is aware, there's already a report requirement from localities to DHCD. Today's bill is about enhancing that report so that better data is coming to legislators and policymakers. There's a few things that are changing here, but the wave tops are the most substantive ones is now having to note the local localities having to notify DHCD in this report about changes in any cash proffer schedules, any changes in density or lot coverage, things that we legislate on or that you all legislate on here in this subcommittee. Any changes in legislation from the state level down to localities that would affect residential land development. And then I would draw your attention to what I think is probably the most valuable piece that would be good for this committee and all policymakers in the legislature is lines 44 through 52, which creates a new requirement where now localities will have to tell the legislature how many housing units they have denied and how many they have approved, and to get rid of what is kind of a loophole, which is continuances for those that are litigators or things that get pushed off into other years. This report or this bill now defines that as anything that is at least 12 months or longer would be deemed a denial. So pretty clear-cut definitions, and I think much better data for state-level policymakers to make decisions within the housing space, which is why it's my hope that the subcommittee will report the bill.
Thank you, thank you, Delegate Thomas. Any questions for the patron on what he's trying to accomplish here with this? All right, anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association. We support the bill. In the Housing Commission, this committee and other committees, we talk a lot about zoning authority, what to do with it, what not to do with it, data. Nowhere in Virginia do we have all that consolidated, and that's the goal of this bill. I'll mention to the delegate's point about tracking, why is development pipeline so important? Building permits are only kind of a snapshot in time of what's being built then. Trying to actually analyze and understand what's in the pipeline, what's soon to be built, what's being developed. That's how you know where your lot shortages are popping up and what localities are really advancing the ball or kind of holding the supply constraints. So we hope you'll support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufactured and Modular Housing Association. I'll associate my comments with Mr. Clark and just say that data is helpful and we support the bill.
Mr. Chair, Erin Corman with the Realtors. We align ourselves with the earlier speakers and we support the bill as well.
Thank you. All right. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? Is there anybody here from DHCD? Do we know, have you gotten any feedback from the department about their capacity to take on this new requirement? There's no fiscal impact statement. It doesn't seem to be an issue or a problem.
We notified them of the bill, Mr. Chairman, but did not receive any feedback. Doesn't mean that they may have some. We just didn't hear back.
Gotcha. Yeah, with the caveat that sometimes I know they're a little behind, just as a general matter. I've had some agencies come to me and say, we may have a fiscal impact statement for you later, just beware. So right now we don't have a letter and we don't have any fiscal impact statement. Nobody's showing up to say this is a burden. So I just wanted to make that clear to everybody as we go forward.
Stand ready to pivot, Mr. Chairman. If
Okay.
I say so.
All right. Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm just trying to figure out what localities would have to do it. So if a locality, are these just towns and cities, or is this going to be like my county has a population greater than 3,500, so the county would have to aggregate this data and send it in? I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be doing this actual work.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a good question. It's my understanding that in line 13, it's just any locality. I think it's just the common definition of locality. Are you talking about a distinguish between municipalities and localities, Delegate Bloxham?
Well,
or Mr.
Chairman.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to make sure if this is going to fall on my county and their administration to send this in, or even, if I have a town that's, 4,000 people, then it would fall on the town, I'm assuming. I'm just trying to see who's actually going to do the work to send it into the department.
So that's a great question, Mr. Chairman. So this report is already in the code. So this work is already being done. It was done last year, although I will admit I believe the report has been delayed, and it was done the year before that. So nothing changes the manner in which the localities are pulling this data together. I also have a town that is within a county in my jurisdiction. I couldn't tell you how they are putting it together. I just know they've been accomplishing the mission for the last couple of years. All this does is says, guys, great, thank you, we appreciate it. Please layer in these 5 or 6 extra things. And then one thing I didn't mention earlier, which I think is particularly helpful for the legislature, it moves up the report deadline 1 month so that legislators have more time to make a decision on what legislation is most beneficial.
Thank you. And is there any penalty for non-compliance? So if a county just can't get it together, is there anything in here that I think the answer is probably no, right?
It is, the answer is no, Mr. Chairman. Is that the way I wish the world was? No, also no, but it is no.
All right. So I mean, if the county just can't do it, or if it's incomplete, or they don't have that data, there's nothing punitive about it. They're not going to get punished or smacked for it. Which just hopefully, I think what'll happen is DHCD has a questionnaire they send around seeking this information. They're going to add more questions to their questionnaire. Localities that have the data will fill it in, I suspect, and those that don't keep it or don't track it, will do their best, and we may not get full answers on some of those.
Always next session, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I'm not suggesting a penalty. I'm just pointing it out for those that are worried about these little localities. It's been moved and seconded that the bill report. Clerk will open the roll. Clerk will close the roll. Bill reports by a vote of 10-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Mighty Mighty Housing Subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you for Delegate Price for keeping me from breaking my own rule and going on about a bill that's already about to pass. All right. Next up, I think we have Delegate Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those of you that have, I'd like to start with HB 14.
HB 14, Delegate Price.
So for those of you that have been here for a few years, this is my fourth time introducing this bill. And as my colleague just said, maybe the fourth time is a charm. If you'll remember, there was an apartment complex in Newport News where things were so bad that the entire building got condemned. But there had been issues that were happening prior to the fire hazards. And it was the fire hazards that got it condemned, not some of the other things. And so as we were digging and we saw that it was owned by an absolute slumlord. And so we just wanted to make sure that these folks that are working hard, trying to take care of their kids, trying to take care of their families, they just didn't know what their rights were. They didn't know how to navigate the legal system. They didn't know what escrow meant. So we still have some work to do as far as it pertains to public education on renters' rights. But along with that, this bill would allow for the locality to be able to sue on behalf of the tenant. And when I spoke with a few localities, they are itching to get some of their slumlords out. And so with that, I've also spoken with organizations on behalf of renters and on behalf of landlords and owners. And we all agree that slumlords are just bad business for everyone. So we have constantly had over 40 organizations support this bill. It was my first Peace in the Valley bill on housing. And so, Mr. Chair, I could go on, but that is the gist of it.
All right. Any questions from members of the subcommittee? Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Mr. I'm reading on line 20 when it says a reasonable time frame. Is that defined, or is that just you just deal with it?
So, Mr. Chair, I would say thank you for the question. I would love to work with you on a bill that gets that defined, but I have been told that it is more of a term of industry, and that I'm not allowed to say what reasonable is because it won't pass.
I think it's a full employment for lawyers term, Mr. Delegate Bloxham. We love to have reasonable, commercially reasonable, and so on and so forth.
But it does end up being a relative term.
It gets us opportunities to argue about things. All right. Any other questions from members of the subcommittee? All right. Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the bill? If you guys would all come forward and line up. And real quick, Delegate Price, this bill has been seen before 4 times. What happened to it before we get to the proponents?
Yes, so it did not get out of committee in 2023 in 2023, but in 2024 and 2025 it got out and was vetoed.
Got it. So it's passed the House of Delegates and the Senate and got as far as the governor's desk. Sorry, we've got some new members. I just want to make sure.
Jared Calfee, AARP Virginia, support.
Good. Yeah, perfect.
Hi, Kelsey Calgar, Progress Virginia, also a resident of a county with a lot of slumlords. Here to say we have supported this the last 4 years. We support again.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Janae Craddock with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. We support this bill and also standing on the behalf of Housing Opportunities Made Equal, Legal Aid Justice Center, the Interfaith Center, and New Virginia Majority, and the AHA Coalition. We all in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, seeing none, is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, we got one person online wishing to speak in favor. Go ahead, you're on.
Hi, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. My name is Salsa Prom. I am the Housing Justice Director at African Communities Together. I echo all the sentiments said in support of the bill. I also just want to add one quick note that the fear of retaliation from tenants has been increasing, particularly for the immigrant community, who essentially retaliation fear has taken on a new severity due to the increase in violence and discriminatory attacks against this community. And so as we've all established, tenant fear of landlord retaliation is very real, and this is a bill that can definitely help address and mitigate those issues. So we are in support of the bill.
All right, thank you. All right. All right. No one's wishing to speak in opposition online, so we're back to the subcommittee. It's been moved and seconded by Delegate Carr and Delegate Hernandez that the bill report. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. Bill reports by a vote of 8-2. All right, Delegate Price, you got another small bill.
Yes, thank you. House Bill 15, you may have heard of recently. I think this is also my fourth time. I won't go over my whole spiel because you've heard some of the eviction statistics already with this, but I do want to add that the rising cost of rent, it has risen over 33% over the last 10 years, but we've been just now able to get to some increases in wages. And when you get to the first and the rent is due, sometimes you might be a little short. And so we have a pay or quit period of 5 days now. This would extend it to 14, which could allow those that get paid multiple times a month to get to the next check in order to cover that rent to help prevent evictions. I'll also note that I've done some digging and got the history of how we got to be 5, and it is very arbitrary. And if you look at other states that have a pay or quit period longer than 5 days, they also have, well, I can't prove it's the reason, they also have a lower rate of evictions. And so we don't have the same 40 organizations of support, but I was very pleased to hear the governor include this bill in her affordable housing agenda.
Thank you, Delegate Price. All right, any questions for members of the subcommittee on this bill? All right, seeing none, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor, please come forward.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy again supports this bill as we have in years past, and we are grateful to the patron for bringing it. Again, this is something our faith communities, our churches, our synagogues, our temples see every day when folks are calling with rent due in the next few days. So this bill supports a lot of people around the Commonwealth. In addition, the 20 organizations that are members of AHA and the 50 organizations who are members of the Virginia Coalition for Immigrant Rights also support the bill. So we have hit the 40 mark.
We're at 90, that sounds like, if I'm doing math the right way. Come on in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Bjorn Coxwell, Government Relations at 4Kids. We are the largest organization that is doing the Virginia Eviction Reduction Pilot Program. When I interviewed that team, they have said that this is the biggest piece of legislation that we can do to prevent evictions in the state. I urge you to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, y'all. Kalia Harris with the Virginia Student Power Network. We support this bill because it extends the time from 5 to 14, which during the COVID era was very helpful. Many youth in Virginia are facing difficulty with housing, from the rents increasing to the threat of evictions and just having trouble with rent affordability generally. This legislation allows more time for payment, which can be the difference between staying housed and being evicted. It also allows the residents' community, including their loved ones and organizations such as ours or other direct service organizations, more time to support youth by coming up with the money that they may be missing or doing crowdsourcing and fundraising on their behalf. And I will say personally, I come from a poor family. We have struggled with eviction, making the payment my entire life. That small period of time where we had a 14-day pay or quit during COVID was the difference between my family staying housed or not. And so I really think that this legislation should be permanent. And thank you for bringing it forth.
Thank you.
Hi again, Kelsey Cowger, Progress Virginia. This bill is a practical bill. It is a minor imposition on landlords that allows people who live paycheck to paycheck to actually get paid and make good on their rent. It helps people stay in stable housing, and we strongly support it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Committee. Sheba Williams with No Left Turns. We support the bill. I do not need to belabor any of the points, but I agree with everybody else.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Adhering to Mr. Chair's subtle suggestions, so keep it short. Janae Craddock from the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we support this bill, and we're also speaking on behalf of the Legal Aid Justice Center, Housing Opportunities Made Equal, and I think that's it.
Thank you, Janae. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference. Our charities get a lot of calls about rental assistance, and this bill would be very helpful to them as they work with tenants to help with affordability of rent. So we urge you to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Elise Osterwile. I'm currently homeless because of the lack of affordable housing, and it started with the government shutdown back in 2019 when I had a federal, stable job where I was making over $100,000, but month to month because of domestic violence. And I had to file bankruptcy because of that month. But luckily, my landlord was willing to provide some grace because he was but if he hadn't been, I would have been evicted back in 2019 during that shutdown in January. And then fast forward to January of 2024, I called over and over again, multiple organizations begging for help. Okay, I'm a federal whistleblower. I quit my job in February 2023. I hadn't been working since October of 2021 because that's when I attempted suicide because of the lack of judicial accountability and reforms that we need for domestic violence survivors under VAWA. But it's all related, and so the large majority of individuals who are affected by this are single parents, especially those that are fleeing violence. And I have everything going for me. I have a PhD. I'm highly employable as a toxicologist. My consulting rate hourly is up to $500 an hour, okay? But I can't do what I need to do because I don't have housing, okay? I'm stuck now because I was evicted in August of 2025. I've been living out of my vehicle since, so this is what homelessness looks like. Doesn't always look like what you think it does, okay? Because I'm a survivor, okay? Find a way to figure out how to keep myself clean, how to get my hair done, how to find water, okay? I enjoy camping and being outside, and that's what I've been doing, but it's no way to live, okay? I've been offered first month's rent and deposit, but rent is still not affordable, right? Finally, I was able to buy land, but I can't, an acre. It's beautiful, stunning in Frederick County, but I can't afford a building loan plus a place to stay currently. I can't afford essentially like 2 loans to build even just a tiny home. So this is wonderful. It's great. I know you have a lot of other things on the docket, but I can't do what I need to do that I can, because I know I can. I'm incredibly capable, but I can't do this all by myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. We really appreciate you being here today. All right. And online we have Sasha Prom.
Yes, I'll try to keep my comments short. I echo all the sentiments in support of this bill. Just want to flag that individuals experiencing evictions are more likely to develop significant health issues, financial hardships, and housing instability, which just creates a cycle of poverty that gets harder and harder to escape from. For communities, these high eviction rates often lead to increases in crime and community displacement and greater public costs, such as increased funding needed for shelters and emergency medical services. And honestly, even landlords are impacted. Court costs and attorney's fees do add up. And it actually ends up putting some landlords in like a bit of a catch-22 situation. So with that being said, bills like increasing our 5-day pay or quit are vital in reducing our eviction rates, and so we support this bill.
Thank you. All right. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the bill? Seeing none. They're conveniently out of the room, maybe. I don't know, but I don't see any. So we're back to the subcommittee.
Move to report.
It's moved and seconded the bill report. The clerk will open the roll. Members will cast their votes. Delegate Price votes yes. And the bill report's on a vote of 7-3. Thank you. All right. If anybody knows where Delegate Fagans is, if not, we'll take his bill by. If we don't get through it by the end of my bill, Madam Delegate Carr, you're sitting next to me. I'm going to hand you the gavel. So the last bill that we've got is my House Bill 39. House Bill 39 is fairly straightforward. A few years ago, I think back in 2020, we made it easier to remove illegal racial covenants from your property. So these covenants are already not enforceable under the Virginia Fair Housing Act, covenants that say things like there should be no people of the Negro race or no Jews and so forth that are in your covenants and show up sometimes on your deed or in your title search. And you can remove those by filing a document that's a notice, it's a certificate of removal of illegal racial covenant. The problem is a lot of people don't know that. They're never told during their title search process when they're buying their house that they've got such a covenant. And so I had some constituents approach me at an NAACP event about 6 months ago, asking if we could do something to sort of raise awareness of the law that we have in Virginia, which is fairly unique, and give people an opportunity to remove the covenants from their property. The way this bill accomplishes that is it requires the settlement attorney who's doing the settlement or the settlement agent who does the title search, if they find such a covenant, to notify the buyer and seller at closing of one, that the covenant was there, and two, of the process to remove it. The hope is that people will learn about the covenant and learn that they have an opportunity to remove it and file a certificate of removal of illegal covenant. That's the bill.
Any questions from members of the committee? All right, do we have any comments from our audience? Any comments in favor of the bill?
Erin Corman with the Realtors, and we support this bill.
Thank you.
Laura Dobbs with Housing Opportunities Made Equal, and we support this beautiful bill.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone with comments opposed to the bill? All right, committee moves by amendment, by motion.
Move to report.
We'll go to the board. Mr. Chair, your bill passes 10-0.
All right. And thank you guys for being so efficient. Thank you in the audience for being really speedy and gotcha. And we moved so fast, that's what we're getting to. We moved so fast that Delegate Fagans probably thought he had more time. But he is stuck in another committee. So what we'll do is we will, I'll entertain a motion to take his bill by for the week. This should be fairly straightforward when we get to it, and it'll just go on the next docket. So can I get such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. The House Bill 174 go by for the week. As many as favor that motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That bill is by for the week. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I moved in seconds. May I favor that motion say aye. Those opposed, no. All right, the committee is adjourned.